If you make $75,000 a year, that $500,000 house you're looking at, the math says you're about $50,000 short. And I'm about to show you exactly where that gap comes from, and it's gonna piss you off. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll know the exact number you actually need, the hidden costs that double your monthly payment, and the one move that could actually get you in. But first, let me show you why the bank is about to laugh you out of the room. Walk into any lender in 2026. You've been saving, credit's solid, you're ready. The loan officer smiles and fires up the calculator. Here's what pops up. $500,000 house. Today's rates are around 6.06%. You put down 20%, that's $100,000 in cash, and your monthly principal and interest, $2,400. Sounds doable, right? Wrong. That's not even half the story. Now add property taxes, $300 to $600 a month depending on your state. Homeowners insurance, it's exploded lately. Add another $200 to $300. Put down less than 20%, tack on PMI at $150 to $250 a month. Your cute $2,400 payment just became $3,000 to $3,240 every single month. And that $100,000 down payment, if you're saving 10% of a $75K salary, that's $7,500 a year. You're looking at 13 years to save that. 13 years of never touching it for emergencies, medical bills, or a busted transmission. The math doesn't math. But here's the part that'll really make you mad.
Let's talk about what you actually need to earn. The median household income in America right now, $74,580. That's what half the country makes or less. To comfortably afford that $3,000 monthly payment, lenders use the 28% rule. Your housing costs can't exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. Run those numbers, and you need to be pulling in $10,714 a month. That's $128,568 a year. Some lenders want $137,000. See the problem? Average American household, $74,580. What you need? $117,000 to $137,000. That's a gap of $42,000 to $62,000. That's not a raise, that's nearly doubling your income. And it gets worse from here. I'm Yash, and after years of running these numbers, I can tell you where most people's dreams die: the debt-to-income ratio. Lenders want your total debt, mortgage, car, student loans, credit cards, below 43% of your gross income. If you're making $75K with a car payment and student loans, you're maxed out before you even add the mortgage. Here's the kicker. This changes wildly by state. In Mississippi, median income is $63,000. A $500K house is a fantasy for 90% of people there. In Maryland, median income hits $97,000. You're closer to the threshold, but still not there for most. Geography is financial destiny right now. Now let's talk about the costs nobody mentions, the ones that kill the dream even after you think you've made it. You've saved the down payment, you qualified, you're at the closing table feeling like a champion. Surprise! Closing costs 2 to 5% of the purchase price. On a $500K house, that's another $10,000 to $25,000 in cash right now. Then you move in and reality hits. Property taxes aren't fixed. In Texas, 2.5% of your home's value annually, $12,500 a year. In Hawaii, 0.3%, just $1,500, and they always go up. Always.
Homeowners insurance has jumped 40% in some markets. Climate risk, inflation, claim costs. Florida and California, you're paying 3 to 4 times the national average. Some areas can't even get traditional insurance anymore. Got an HOA? Add $200 to $500 a month. And here's the silent killer. Your house will break. Roofs fail. HVAC dies. Water heaters leak.
Industry standard says budget 1 to 2% of your home's value annually for maintenance. On a $500K house, that's $5,000 to $10,000 a year sitting in a fund. Most people drain their emergency fund for the down payment, then move in, and they're one busted AC unit away from credit card debt. But the real cost isn't any of these. It's what you're not doing with that money. Every dollar trapped in this house is a dollar you're not investing for retirement, not building an emergency fund, not positioning yourself for actual financial freedom. So we've established you probably can't afford it, but here's what nobody's telling you about what's happening in 2026 that could change the game entirely. The affordability crisis is worse than you think. Right now, 77% of U.S. households cannot afford the median new home. 3 out of 4 American families are completely priced out. This isn't a you problem. This is systemic. The income needed to buy a home has doubled since 2019. Back then, $60,000 to $70,000 could get you in the door in most markets. Today, $120,000 to $140,000 for the same house. Wages haven't kept pace, not even close. Here's another factor destroying the market: the mortgage rate lock-in effect. About 20% of homeowners have rates at 6% or higher, but another massive chunk locked in at 3% or below during the pandemic. Those people with 3% rates, they're not selling. Why would they trade a 2.5% mortgage for a 6% one? This locks up inventory, keeps prices high, and makes affordability even worse. You're probably thinking prices will drop eventually, right?
Here's the problem. We're millions of homes short of demand in this country. Builders haven't built enough for over a decade. When demand crushes supply, prices stay elevated even when rates spike. It's brutal economics. Then there's the house poor trap, and this is where it gets personal. You qualify for the loan, barely. You move in, now 60% of your take-home pay goes to housing and housing-related costs. You can't save, you can't invest. You're one unexpected expense from financial disaster. You own a house, but the house owns you. I've seen people make this mistake, and I'm telling you right now, it's not worth it. Wealth isn't about owning property, it's about financial flexibility and freedom. So, can you actually make this work? Let's run the scenarios. Scenario 1. Increase your income. Easier said than done, I know, but this is the most direct path. Side hustles, career pivots, certifications, negotiating hard. If you can bridge that $40,000 to $60,000 gap, you're suddenly in the game. It might take 2 to 5 years, but it's doable. Scenario 2. Lower down payment options. You don't need 20%. FHA loans go as low as 3.5%. Conventional loans can hit 3%. On a $500,000 house, 3% is $15,000 instead of $100,000, way more achievable. But here's the catch. You'll pay PMI, which bumps your monthly payment, and you're financing more principal. You might be looking at $3,500 to $3,800 a month instead of $3,000. The income requirement barely budges. Scenario 3. Look in different markets. A $500,000 house in San Francisco is a teardown. In Ohio or Tennessee, it's a mansion. If you're flexible on location, your dollars stretch further. Remote work makes this more viable than ever. But factor in cost of living, job markets, and whether you actually want to live there. Scenario 4. Wait for rate drops. Some experts predict rates could drift to 5.5% or even 5% by late 2026 if inflation stays controlled. Every quarter-point drop saves you $70 to $80 a month on a $500,000 loan. But there's no guarantee rates will drop, and if they do, prices might jump because more buyers flood back in. Here's the affordability formula, and it's grim. For housing to become affordable again, at current prices, one of 3 things needs to happen. Home prices drop 38%, household incomes rise 60%, or mortgage rates fall to 2.35%. None of these are happening tomorrow. The reality? Flat to slightly rising prices, slowly rising incomes, maybe modest rate decreases. It's a slow grind, not a quick fix. The smart play for 2026 isn't forcing yourself into a house you can't afford. Here's the real strategy. Build your emergency fund first. 6 months of expenses, minimum, non-negotiable. Maximize your credit score. Every point matters. The difference between a 680 and a 740 can be 0.5% on your rate. That's hundreds a month. Consider house hacking. Buy a duplex or a house with a basement apartment. Rent out the other unit, let your tenant pay half your mortgage. Or get roommates. Not glamorous, but it works. Start smaller and trade up. Buy the $300K starter home, build equity for 5 years, then move up when your income and equity position are stronger. Explore first-time buyer programs. Many states and cities offer down payment assistance, lower rates, or tax credits. These programs are underutilized because people don't know they exist. And here's the contrarian move that might make you mad. Rent and invest the difference. If you're paying $1,800 in rent instead of $3,200 for a mortgage, that's $1,400 a month you could invest. Over 10 years in the market, that could grow to over $200,000. Homeownership isn't always the best wealth-building strategy, especially when you're stretching to barely afford it. Here's the number you should actually focus on, not the house price, not the down payment. Focus on your debt-to-income ratio and your monthly savings rate. If you can keep total debt under 40% of your income and save at least 20% of what you make, you're building wealth, whether you own or rent. That's real financial freedom. Look, home ownership in 2026 isn't dead. It's just harder. The path is longer than it was for previous generations, but it's still there if you're strategic. If you want more real numbers about money, investing, and building wealth in this economy, subscribe and hit the bell. Drop a comment with your household income and state, and I'll tell you if a $500K house is realistic for you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.